Okay, time to play a new visual novel called The Walk Among Zombies. This visual novel is actually based on a web novel of the same name. If it's in Japanese, you can look it up as ゾンビのあふれた世界で俺だけが襲われない。I've been wanting to play this visual novel ever since I've finished reading the web novel. And I'm pretty excited. Let's do this. So let's see, from close by the sound of dripping water. The body on the ground was cold, at the same temperature as the asphalt below. The body was stiff, its muscles like rubber. It pushed its hands against the ground, joints creaking as it struggled to sit up. It pushed its hands against the ground, joints creaking as it struggled to sit up. Vague figures shambled around in front of it. It appeared to have been sleeping on the sidewalk. Why is it in a place like this? It didn't remember. Its painstakingly tried to stand up. Its movements were stiff, like a rusty machine. Its vision was strangely blurry. It was hungry. The hunger was almost unbearable. As though it hasn't eaten for days. It lurched forward, looking for food. Then it noticed the sound. Against the sound of water, incredibly close by. It lowered its eyes and saw a pool of blood forming at its feet. Panicked, it attempted to jump back, but its legs didn't respond. Instead, against its will, its arms moved. They rose into view, stained by ink crimson. Ugh. Let's see. The man jumped from his bed, sending the sheets flying. Feeling a sharp headache, he lifted a hand to his head. The pain faded away immediately. The curtains were shut, leaving the dark room. He noticed he couldn't hear the sound of dripping water from his dream. He turned his head to look over at the kitchen. Water dripped from the kitchen tap. After staring at it silently for a moment, he let out a huge sigh. What the hell was that? It had been a strange dream. It's pretty loud. Standing up, he walked towards the kitchen. He poured a cup of barley tea from the fridge and gulped it down. The cold liquid reinvigorated his hydrated body. His family roused him from his groggy state as he went to put the barley tea back. Ow! His arm cramped up in pain. His arm cramped up in pain. The sleeve of his shirt was torn. Beneath the torn sleeve was a savage bite mark, as though he'd been attacked by a dog. He looked at the wound underneath. When he saw it, the events of the past few days flashed through his mind. A world full of zombies, 10th day. Yusuke Takemura, a 25-year-old former office worker, lost his job when the company he worked for went bankrupt. And the search for a new one hadn't gone smoothly. For a little while, he'd been holed up in his apartment doing nothing but playing games. The kind where you gun down hordes of enemies. He played for weeks straight, like some sort of vegetable. The only time he'd taken the break was to leave his shade and go out to buy food. Midway through the trip, a man he didn't recognize suddenly attacked him. A middle-aged John Doe in a suit. Drooling dripping from his mouth, his face disordered, he lunged at Yusuke. Trying to protect him, Yusuke instinctively kicked the man. The man staggered back, but only for an instant. Soon he was back to his feet, sight still set on Yusuke. Yusuke threw a nearby potted plant at the man and escaped back to his room. It all happened in a flash. The man chased after him and started pounding on his door. Panicking, Yusuke phoned the police, but there was no answer. After a while, he started to feel ill, his legs barely supporting him. Mustering the last of his strength, he threw the deadbolt on the door. Lurched to his bed and collapsed on it. That was where his memories cut off. Checking his phone, he realized he'd passed up for 3 days straight. As his memories of the attack came back, he ran to check on the front door, but there was no sign of his assailant. Who the hell was that guy? It seems that he was safe for the time being, but nevertheless, he hesitated to go outside. Okay, so this is after the apocalypse. Yeah, I read the novel and seeing it visually really makes me excited here. I wonder if they changed any of the material from the web novel to this visual novel. He sat down at his desk and booted up his PC, then began searching the net for any information regarding the incident. At first, he tried to determine if a strange man had been arrested, but he soon realized the world was too busy to deal with just one freak. This can't be real. A mysterious disease had broken out in every corner of the world simultaneously. Fatality rate 100%. A high fever led to brain damage, and the infected lived at most another day. Sometime after succumbing, the corpse would come back to life, indiscriminately attacking others. Any who are bitten will become infected and subsequently die. After that, they would join the ranks of the aggressors. Zombies? No way. He muttered, reeling. He clicked through the various news sites, but half of them were offline. So the internet still works? Even the ones that were still up hadn't been updated in the past 4 days. He found a few real-time news feeds, but the story there was equally hopeless. Central governments had ceased functioning, and the army was still continuing local rescue attempts. But that was also going poorly. Roads were congested with abandoned vehicles. Refugees have been left behind all over the place. It was like the world has gone through the apocalypse. It is. Right now it should be the apocalypse at this point. Going through? It already is. He sat staring at his computer monitor in his dark, silent room. He just couldn't comprehend what was going on. Ah, the TV. Turning the TV on, he flipped through the channels, looking for any news. He was only met with static. There's no time to be recording television news when your life is in danger. turning the TV on. Yeah. So Yusuke stood up and walked towards the balcony window. Okay. He opened the curtains and peered outside, squinting at the dazzling light. The view from his apartment on the 5th floor was the same as usual. Just buildings and high rises off into the distance. He opened the sliding glass door and stepped out into the balcony. As he looked around, he noticed something on the ground below him. Abandoned cars strewn all over the streets below. Some were stranded on the sidewalks. Others were even rammed into storefronts. He could also see the figures of people nearby. However, they looked unsteady and aimless, as if they were mindlessly wandering around. Yusuke honestly couldn't tell whether they were infected or not from where he was standing. Something's messed up here. He muttered as he returned to his room and sat down on the chair. It was clear that something at least had happened. The infected had started around the time Yusuke had been consumed with the game. In just 2 or 3 days, it had swept over the entirety of Japan. Then what was that guy? Then was that guy a zombie? Does that mean? Remembering what had happened to him, Yusuke froze. But he survived. Yep. He rolled up his sleeve to check where he'd been attacked. There was the assailant's bite mark. It had gone right through his shirt into his flesh. The bleeding had stopped, and the wound had already scaped over. You're shitting me. Yusuke impatiently searched the internet for any treatment. However, no matter where he looked, it said if you went, you're dead. End of story. Maybe there's an incubation period? Just like you said. But everything just said you are going to die after 1 day. Now that I think about it, I did have a high fever. He might be a special case. Something in his blood. This shakes he'd gotten after being bitten did seem like a sign of infection. However, Yusuke was still alive. Maybe that guy wasn't a zombie, but just a regular nudge. Yeah, probably. Some weird bacteria got into a wound or something. What the hell is going on? Just to be sure, he looked up the phone numbers of some nearby hospitals on the internet. Not a single one answered his calls. The police and fire department were the same. He still couldn't come to grips of what happened. Society as a whole had come to a halt. In any case, sitting there would accomplish nothing. Yusuke went around to all the apartments on this floor, checking if anyone was home. He thought that if he could find another resident, he might be able to get more information. The internet alone was unreliable. However, he didn't find anyone. Each apartment he checked was locked shut. It seemed as though the majority of people he had evacuated. However, the apartment door 3 doors down was unlocked. Anyone home? There might be a zombie inside. He called out, but again there was no reply. The apartment was dark. In the entranceway, there were 2 pairs of women's shoes neatly arranged. Seeing those, he recalled the apartment's resident. It was a Miss Kurose, a young secretary. Kurose wore glasses, kept her hair in a loose braid, and always seemed somewhat gloomy. He had never spoken to her much. They'd only ever exchanged empty pleasantries. After hesitating a moment, he closed the door behind him, took off his shoes, and stepped into the entranceway. Excuse me. He flipped the switch next to him to turn the lights on, which only confirmed that there was nobody home. Though he felt guilty for intruding, it didn't stop him from heading further inside. The floor plan was the same as Yusuke's apartment, a 1-bedroom with a combined dining and kitchen area. The table was tidy, and in the kitchen everything from the seasonings to the utensils was neatly lined up, which left one other room. He slid open the door and peered into the bedroom. Is there seriously no one here? Just in case, he decided to search the room. The pink curtains were drawn, leaving the room in darkness. A laptop sat on the bedside table. Other than that, there was only a closet and a dressing table. It was a simple room. A plush cat toy rested near the pillow, giving the room a girlish impression. Yusuke felt a little guilty for intruding into another person's bedroom. Just then he heard a faint noise behind him. Whoa. He turned around in confusion and saw a black-haired woman standing by the sliding door. It was the secretary room. Belonged to Kurose. Since she wasn't wearing her usual glasses, it took him a moment to recognize her. She was dressed in a plain outfit, a simple sweater and jeans combo. Oh, sorry, I didn't get a reply, so... As he spoke, he noticed something seemed off about her. Yeah, Kurose might also be one of those exceptions, but her blood might have been weaker to counter affects the disease. So she might have lost her mind, but at the same time she's not actually a zombie yet. She was looking into his general direction, but her eyes weren't focused, and she seemed unsteady. Kurose slowly turned around and shuffled towards the entryway. Yusuke remained frozen for a little while, but then she stopped her. He found her facing on the door, her head tilted down. Kurose? So? Scratch. Ugh. Slowly, as though she was stroking the door, Kurose's fingernail scraped through the wood near the latch. What are you doing? He peered at her, but she made no reply. As he continued to observe her, he couldn't help but wonder if maybe her hair was a little messed, but she was still beautiful. Lashes usually change how someone looks, but she left an entirely different impression of Yusuke. He still thought she was a little gloomy, but now she had that sexy librarian thing going on. As she continued to stare blankly at the door, Yusuke noticed that her face was not something he called a healthy color, nor were her bloodshot eyes. The paint on the door was peeled away, where she had been scratching at it, and in return the fingernails were ruined. It was like she had scratched away at the door many times before Yusuke had come in. Even her fingernails looked worn down. I think you should stop her. He spoke. He timidly took her by the shoulder. She felt soft, even through her sweater. A woman's softness. He couldn't gauge her body temperature with her clothes in that way, however. Kurose was still not responding to him. He put his hand to her forehead. You've got to be kidding me. She was cold. Not cold like she'd been out in the snow or something, but cold like a mannequin. Yep, she's half dead? Half dead? No, probably she died, but her mind is somehow intact because of the virus. Still unable to believe what was happening, Yusuke timidly put his fingers to the nape of Kurose's neck. Kurose didn't care, continuing to scratch at the door. He found her carotid artery, slightly pressed against it, and waited quietly. However, no matter how long he waited, he couldn't feel her pulse. Oh my god, yep. Her heart has stopped beating. 1709. Seeking confirmation, he held his hand in front of her mouth, but he felt no breath. Feeling a little guilty, he moved his hand to her chest, but he felt no heartbeat. Zombies always looked grotesque in the movies, so he still couldn't quite grasp what was going on. Other than her pale complexion, she looked exactly like a normal human being. It took Yusuke a minute to accept the fact that she was still moving around, despite her lack of a pulse or respiration. Yusuke returned to his room and resumed his search for information on the internet. So they looked the same as ordinary humans, huh? It seemed that even though they had been infected with the zombie virus, they looked human otherwise. Aside from many injuries from prior to the infection, it wasn't unusual to have zombies in perfect condition. To all appearances, completely human. That was one of the reasons why the infection had spread out of control. She didn't look like a corpse to me. They weren't like a corpse you see at funerals. In fact, they were like dead humans. They were less like dead humans and more like an entirely different species. Even so, the problem was, if that was a zombie, why didn't it attack me? Yeah, why, I wonder. Every site he checked agreed. Whether it was a news site, a social network, or an anonymous message board, every last one said that zombies attacked people. They were completely indiscriminate. Men and women, young and old, anybody and everybody. They attacked any human nearby. Strangely enough though, the zombies didn't check animals. There wasn't a single story of them leaving a human alone. Though the zombies didn't attack animals, there wasn't a single story of them leaving a human alone. Well, that's what the internet says anyway. Nonetheless, Kurose had not attacked them. He supposed it was possible that there were zombies that just didn't attack people. Or maybe you have the virus and then you survived. Yeah, I'm pretty sure his heart is still beating. Arg, I'm starving. He'd been holed up inside his apartment for so long he'd run out of food. There was a convenience store nearby, but he still hadn't worked up the courage to venture the trip. Thinking he could salvage something from Kurose's, Yusuke headed out. So back to Kurose's apartment. He made his way onto the corridor and closed the door behind him. But when he turned around, wah! There was a man standing right behind him. His clothes were torn and stained with blood, and he had suffered a head injury. Yusuke's legs gave out and he collapsed to the floor. But the man did nothing, just staring down at Yusuke. Neither of them moved for a few seconds. Then the man staggered away. Yusuke followed the man with his eyes as he shuffled away, until his frantic heartbeat calmed down. Yeah, heartbeat. It's still beating. Was that guy a zombie too? He scrambled to his feet and gave chase. The man walked away, slowly. So Yusuke caught up almost immediately. Excuse me, just a minute. However, that didn't get a reply. Of course he didn't. Does that look a human? Does that look like a human to you? Oh boy. The large wound on his head seemed to be a deep bite mark. He noticed that the man had an array of wounds in different sizes. No matter how you looked at them, they were serious. Even so, Yusuke had to make sure. He approached the man from behind and put a finger to his neck. He was cold. Returning to his room, Yusuke let out a huge sigh. Seriously, what's going on? Yeah, what's going on? He had his doubts, but he could no longer deny that the world was now filled with zombies. Putting down his feelings on hold for the moment, he returned to Kurosei's apartment. He wanted to just go back to bed and do nothing, but his hunger was unbearable. At this point, he took off his shoes, entered the kitchen, and started rummaging through the fridge. He took a cup of yogurt. That was just before its sell-by date. A bottle of water and some eggs, and then proceeded towards the eggs. He toasted the last 2 remaining slices of bread, then leaned towards the sink as he spread butter on them and stuffed his face. Even though he invaded another person's kitchen, it didn't matter whether, since it was clear to him that Kurosei was already dead. It would have been a waste to just let the food rot. As for Kurosei himself, Yusuke had locked her in the bathroom when he left the apartment earlier. Apparently when she come from when she'd taken Yusuke by surprise earlier. Surprise before. The front door had been shut, so she must have been stuck in the apartment. Come to think of it, the electricity and gas are still working. I could connect to the internet as well. It seemed that the utilities were still holding up. Japan hadn't been completely destroyed yet. He finishes his meal and, with his stomach now stuffed, his mood started to improve. He also started considering his situation more broadly. He didn't know where all the building's residents had gone to while he was hiding out in his apartment. But fortunately, it seemed like his life was not in danger. But he was still unsure why the zombies were not attacking him. I should go explore. Oh boy. Yusuke brushed the crumbs from his mouth and stood up. The first thing on his list was to explore the neighborhood. Just to be safe, he laid off his clothes and put on a leather biker's jacket. His thinking was, just in case they get bitten, it wouldn't break their skin, but I'm pretty sure it would. That's not enough, I'm pretty sure. He put on a pair of gloves and tucked his motorcycle helmet under his arm. On his belt, he wore a shelved kitchen knife. It wasn't the best weapon, but it was more for peace of mind than anything else. He picked up the keys for his bike and descended the apartment staircase. On the way down, he came to a stop on the third floor landing. He heard something from down the hall. He picked up the keys for his bike and descended the... So on his way down, he came to a stop on the third floor landing. He heard something from down the hall. He craned his neck to peek through the corner. There were three men were gathered in front of one of the apartments. They were scratching at the door, exactly like Kurosei had been. What are they doing? There are humans inside. Their clothes were disheveled. They were covered in cut marks, and they gave him a bad feeling. Are they human? No, they're not. Yusuke cautiously approached them and called out from a few steps away. What's going on here? Again, no one replied. Just zombies after all. But then why are they so focused on that door? Was there something inside that was drawing them towards it? Suddenly, the zombies attacked the door. One of them started ramming it over and over. Yusuke could just make out a woman's voice coming from inside.
誰かいるんですか？いますか？
Flustered, he replied, Yes, I'm here. Is everything okay? What are these guys doing?
助けてください！外に張り付いてて、ずっと出られなくて。
Huh? Right, hold on a second. The woman's concern put Yusuke on guard. Settling his helmet over his head, he drew the kitchen knife. They hadn't reacted to him, but these guys were probably the type of zombies that attack people. Now what? Oh hey, it looks like it worked. He got it out of its protective case and picked it up. It was heavier than he expected. He lifted it into position, ready to spray the three of them. Would this even work against zombies? If his opponent were a human, then it probably knocked them down, but I should just hit them with it. He could try to use the hefty fire extinguisher to knock them down. That way, he could find out if the zombies would try to retaliate or not. If they did, he would retreat up the stairs, which were still close by. He went up and pitched the fire extinguisher in an underhanded throw, which struck home. It bowled away the zombies who collapsed in the heap. Yusuke patiently observed the zombies as they struggled back to their feet. They started attacking the door. They hadn't shown any kind of reaction towards him at all. But more clear? He nervously approached the zombies. But no matter how close he got, the zombies just carried on attacking the door. They didn't attack him. Maybe because they just wanted to get inside the room. He didn't know what to think. Please wait a little longer, stand back! He shouted towards the room. Putting the knife away, he got behind one of the zombies, wrapped his arms around his waist, and lifted. He tried to carry it, but lugging around the squirming corpse was harder than it seemed. Giving up the idea, he decided to push them over the railing. Instead, the internet informed that zombies could be killed by removing the head or destroying the brain. However, he hadn't resolved himself to go that far. It wasn't like he was killing a fly. Though they were dead, he would still be stabbing what would once been a person. Fortunately, it was simple enough to throw them over the railing. All he had to do was push. The zombies were so focused on the door that they didn't pay attention to what Yusuke was doing at all. Heave ho! Oof, bye-bye. Sorry, but not sorry. But the zombie crashed into the ground. Ugh. Peeking over the railing, he could see the zombie squirming in the pool of its own blood, its arms and legs broken. He shuddered, feeling a little queasy, but he shook it off and moved on to the next one. When he dealt with the three of them, he called out to the woman. It's alright now. These guys are gone. For a little while, there was no response. Then after a moment, the door opened a crack. It was still chained on the other side as the woman's frightened face peeked out. When he saw Yusuke, she screamed. Yusuke was confused until he remembered he was wearing the helmet. He took it off. No wonder she was scared, seeing someone in the bike helmet outside her door. It's okay, I sorted everything out. Seeing his face seemed to calm her down. The woman sank back into the entranceway. After a moment, she regained her composure. She stood up and removed the chain, saying,
すみません。ありがとうございます。ずっと逃げられなくて、もうどうしようかと。すみません。ありがとうございます。ずっと逃げられなくて、もうどうしようかと。
So it looks like a mother. housewife. That was a tough spot you were in. Yusuke spoke casually. Having a swarm of zombies in front of your door would obviously be terrifying. You'd have no hope of escape. Bing. Still, Yusuke found it strange that the zombies were trying to get into this apartment, but he decided to stop worrying about it for the moment. He just read it off as bad luck. This guy should use his head a bit. Or it's gonna be the end of these two. The woman opened the door further and anxiously looked out into the corridor.
この辺りは安全になったんでしょうか?
I'm fine, aren't I? Though it was touch and go for a minute. Yusuke answered, recalling the information he gathered on the internet. Since the zombies hadn't attacked him, he no longer felt like he was in too much danger. His words seemed to reassure the woman, who bowed her head gratefully.
本当にありがとうございます。みっちゃん、おいで。パパのとこ行くよ。
The sound of tiny footsteps come from inside the apartment. A girl wearing a backpack, who looked to be in elementary school, pattered up and gazed up at Yusuke. The woman stepped out inside and returned holding several bags. While she put her shoes...
夫を待ってるうちに逃げ遅れてしまって。よければ避難所まで一緒に行きませんか?
Where's the shelter?
近くの小学校なんですけど、うちの子も通ってるところで。
Oh yeah, I'm not familiar with it. Would you mind showing me the way?
はい、もちろんです。よろしくお願いします。
Relieved to have someone accompanying her, the woman relaxed. The three of them descended the apartment staircase.
あれ、まだいるんですか?
When they heard about the zombies still lingering in the area, the woman turned pale. But the thing is, they don't attack me, they just ignore me. Yusuke, you gonna... The woman remained dubious despite Yusuke's reply. I walked right up to them earlier, but I'm still fine. I don't know what those guys were doing at your door earlier, but... Well, have you ever seen a zombie attack someone?
Yeah.
The woman shook her head. The media had been pushing the stance that you should never approach an infected person no matter what. So she hadn't never been in the position to see it happen. Apparently they had been holed up in their apartment for quite a while. Well, you'll see for yourself when we get going. They reached the first floor and stepped out off the stairway. The mother and daughter were holding hands, anxiously huddled together. I wouldn't be able to fit all three of us on my bike. So thinking, Yusuke casually stepped out into the road. Oh boy. No. What are you doing? What are you... No. I have a they are gonna die. They are gonna die. Oh my god. This guy. You can't just... All the zombies on the road simultaneously turned to face the three of them. They froze. The zombies' eyes bored into them. The woman screamed. Yusuke shuddered. Shit. Run! Pushing the mother and daughter ahead of them. He ran back into the apartment building in a panic. Pounding footsteps closed in from behind. Hurry! Stumbling over themselves, they ran towards the stairs. Yusuke kept glancing back as he threw out the mother and daughter up the stairs. As the figures grew closer, Yusuke yelled out, "Aren't zombies supposed to be slow?" They weren't any slower than humans. The bodies tilted forward as he ran. The arms locked at their sides and legs pumping clumsily. Their unnatural gait only made him more afraid. Keep going, get back into the apartment. He dashed up the first flight of stairs, the second. When they reached the third floor landing, something smashed into Yusuke from the side. What the? Yusuke was knocked into the hallway, his back hit the wall, and he collapsed. Still unaware of what happened, he picked himself up. A strange voice from nearby, clutching his injured shoulder, he looked up at him. The mother and daughter collapsed on the landing, swarmed by human-shaped figures. Yusuke was reminded of nothing, so much as the murder of crows huddled around the kitchen waste on the trash day. Or perhaps a group of nurses gathered around the patient who fallen and couldn't stand up. However, they couldn't process what was happening with the circle. That is disgusting. Whether the noise is heard, that the shafts of red and that flew from between the zombies. Gah! Gah! Nya! Acha! The weak cry was a final sound from either the mother or the daughter. There were some 10 zombies near Yusuke, but they all ignored them, swarming around the two. His brain refused to acknowledge it. The feast continued as Yusuke sat there. The red of blood, yellow of fat, white of bone reflected in his eyes. A vivid, flamboyant dance of colors. He couldn't attach no further meaning to it. He could attach no further meaning to it. His sense of time left him. His whole world was zombies mobbing the area. They piled up from the street. The crowd now as big, so big that they surrounded even where Yusuke was sitting. They completely ignored them, squirming as they waited for the turn at the woman, her little girl. Yusuke couldn't move. The zombies clambered through the hallway, joining the circle. All he could do was watch. He was completely frozen. The figures in front of him all blended together into a riffing mass. The setting sun dyed the hallway crimson. Before he knew it, the sun had set. Just how much time had passed? He noticed that there were now fewer zombies than before. They were leaving one by one. When Yusuke finally came to his senses, he was completely alone, where the mother and daughter had been. There remained only a patch of dark red concrete, scraps of clothes, and scattered light brown fragments. What the? Still unable to comprehend what had happened, Yusuke stared blankly at the red concrete. Well, The next day, first thing Yusuke did when he woke up back in his room was to take a shower. As he toweled his hair dry, he began to arrange his thoughts. The zombies attacked humans. That appeared to be true. The news had been correct. However, he hadn't been attacked. In other words, he was special. Yeah, too late to realize that. After 2 victims. So, is this the cause? He looked at the wound on his right arm. The scab at the ray peeled away and had been replaced by new skin. The man's bite, however, had left a scar. The virus had a 100% fatality rate. However, Yusuke wasn't dead. Or perhaps he was dead and just hadn't noticed. His heart was beating though, wasn't it? Yeah, it's beating. He anxiously pressed his hand to his chest. His heartbeat was perfectly fine. He thought his body temperature was normal too. So why hadn't he died? Perhaps the zombie virus had been weakened somehow and had instead acted as a vaccine? Perhaps it had then formed the antibodies inside him, which for some reason stops the zombies from attacking him. I really hadn't got a goddamn clue. Thinking about it wasn't going to get him anywhere. There had been no information on the internet about people surviving being bitten, nor about people who weren't being attacked by zombies. It would appear that his was an extremely rare case. I'm pretty sure there are people like him somewhere out there. Just they're hiding. They're probably hiding it. If he went and reported it to a medical institution, they might be able to figure out a way for humanity to overcome his situation. But that sucked. They would experiment on him. The society had collapsed. They wouldn't think to respect his human rights. Yusuke wasn't the type of naive idealist who'd sacrifice himself to save humanity. If anything, he was the complete opposite, a totally self-centered man. Well, seems like I got lucky. The truth was, if he'd been the same as his mother and daughter, the zombies would have eaten him too. I do feel sorry for them really. But at the end of the day, their luck would just ran out. He brought his hands together in a prayer. Yeah, all because of you. What happened to them was terrible, but it wasn't like he meant them any ill will. Yeah. If they'd stayed inside the room, they would have starved to death. The actual result was no better or worse than fate. It wasn't like they had hope of escaping. Well, that's it. Starving to death seemed like a better way to go than being eaten by zombies. And maybe there wasn't a slim chance of help coming at some point, but still. Done is done, Yusuke fought and dropped the matter. For starters, I need to confirm my theory. After yesterday's events, he was fairly certain that zombies wouldn't attack him. Wanting to make sure though, Yusuke left his apartment, equipped with the same items as the day before. He decided to walk around the apartment block. He passed many zombies on his way. Yusuke stiffened up at the thought of what happened to him yesterday. But just as he expected, they paid him no notice. He saw some of the zombies from the day before, but they didn't even glance at them. They just staggered around. So far so good. Should I take things a step further? He got on his motorcycle off the parking lot in the basement. He rode it to the nearby convenience store. Abandoned cars littered the road. Ouch. He ran into a power at the intersection as well. It would have been near impossible to get around using a car. Avoiding the abandoned cars, sometimes even having to ride his bike on the sidewalk, he slowly made his way onwards. The zombies were everywhere, far more than he expected. A big group of 10 materialized in front of him. So they don't react to the noise from a bike either? I guess they're only attracted to a person's presence or something. I thought they might be attracted to the smell of fresh blood. Remember how the swarm of zombies had engulfed the mother and daughter? It seemed like every zombie in the neighborhood had gathered there. But kid doesn't know. A boy of about 5 years was crouched down beside the car. Looking for oh my god. Looking more closely, Yusuke realized he was gnawing on the human forearm. The white bone poking through. The kid was tearing the flesh. Oh my god, it's so creepy that I can't pronounce it ever. He's seeing only his teeth. Wow, gross. He left as quickly as he could. Even though he knew he wouldn't be attacked, it still wasn't a pleasant sight. After taking his time checking out the area along the way, he eventually arrived at the convenience store. He entered the store, messenger bag hanging from his shoulder. 2 zombies shuffled around inside, but the goods on the shelves were completely intact. Lucky me. He searched through the displays, throwing canned or sealed food and bottled drinks into his bag. Oh, or maybe I should eat the food that rots first? I should go to a supermarket or something, but nah. The food from the convenience store would be enough for now. Yusuke actually started to enjoy wandering around the store, tossing items into his bag without a care for the price. Though he might be considered a looter, he preferred to think of it as an inevitability, following the collapse of society. He hummed to himself and fished through the shelves until his bag was full. Haha, what a score. His bag was now stuffed to the gills. He grabbed a popsicle to suck on and sauntered back to his motorcycle. Fastening his bag behind the seat, Yusuke climbed onto the bike and made his way home. After restocking his fridge, Yusuke chowed down on his recent acquisitions before returning to scouring the web. Right now, it was his only source of information. However, as good as the internet was for getting information about society as a whole, it was proving less useful for information about nearby shelters or survivor hideouts. Finding local information was Yusuke's current objective. He tried going to the neighborhood webpage, but couldn't connect to the server. Next, he tried the City Hall website. He was able to connect, but it hadn't been updated in a while. He couldn't find anything about zombies on it either. This is useless. He closed the tab. I wished I'd pick up a radio. Come to think of it, I wonder what's going on with the disaster warning system. As the name implied, it was meant to be used for communications during emergencies. So it should still be working, but Yusuke hadn't heard a single siren or broadcast. It would have been good to have a radio, just in case something did happen. I should try going to this town hall at some point. The way he figured the servers were still running. Plus, the facilities, probably he would be too. But since I got back so late, there's not much I can do. He still had a lot on his mind, but at least It didn't seem like there were any imminent threats. This seemed like a good place to stop for the day. For a change of pace, he decided to watch some adult content. What the hell? All of his favorite sites had disappeared. What the hell are you doing at this time? There should be more better things to do. All of his favorite sites had disappeared. Truly a crisis to the end of the world. Of course, he shouldn't have expected that those websites would still be up. Yusuke hung his head. I never even considered it, to think that it was one of the blessings of society. It's kinda shocking. Sighing, he turned his PC off. I guess I could play a game at this time. What? There are more fruitful things to spend your time on, and you're just wasting time on luxury, debauchery. Yusuke started to stand up, but paused halfway through, with a blank expression on his face. Yeah, I heard. Did the door open or something? I heard like a creak, like a click clack. Or not. Let's see. With a blank expression on his face, he made for Kurosei's apartment, 3 doors down. He entered the apartment.